Recorded Books and RB Digital present Murder in the Bowery by Victoria Thompson. Narrated by Suzanne Torren. Chapter 1.
I need to find my kid brother, Mr. Malloy.
Frank Malloy leaned back in his office chair and studied his newest client across the expanse of his desk. The young man had introduced himself as Will Burt. He was a handsome fellow, sporting a fairly new suit of brown checked fabric and a pristine shirt with a fresh collar. He had settled his smart-looking derby on his knee instead of leaving it on his head, as too many young men did today. He wasn't the usual sort of client who came to Frank's detective agency, but then his agency was also fairly new, so he really couldn't claim to have a usual sort of client.
"How did you come to lose your brother, Mr. Burt?"
Frank asked. Burt shrugged almost apologetically.
"Well, I didn't exactly lose him. It's kind of a long story. I'm not going anywhere."
"All right, then.
Well, you see, Freddie and me are orphans. After our folks died, we had to look after ourselves, so I started selling newspapers to support us. Freddie did, too, even though he was still really small.
A common enough story, Frank knew.
"You were street Arabs?"
he asked, referring to the hundreds of orphaned and abandoned children who lived on the New York City streets.
"Yes, sir. We stayed at one of the newsboys' lodging houses whenever the weather was bad, of course, and I always looked out for Freddie, but it was a hard life. That's why we finally decided to go out west on one of those orphan trains."
The orphan trains had been taking children from the city out west to find homes since before Frank was born.
"I guess you were hoping to be adopted by some farmer out in Iowa or something."
Burt smiled a little at this.
"I know it sounds strange, especially for a city boy like me, but those people from the Children's Aid Society make it sound like a fairy tale or something." "But it wasn't a fairy tale for you and your brother, I guess."
Burt's smile disappeared.
"Not exactly. We went to Minnesota, not Iowa, although I don't guess it makes much difference. We wanted to go with the same family, but none of the families wanted me. I was too old, already 16. But Freddie was 8 by then and still real cute, so he got picked right off. I ended up in another town with a storekeeper, Mr. Varney." "That was probably easier than farm work." "I guess so. Mr. Varney, he never had any children, and he wanted somebody to take over his store when he was gone, so he trained me to do that. He wasn't going to adopt me or anything. He just put it in his will that I got the store when he died."
"And did he die?" Burt seemed surprised that Frank had guessed.
"Yeah, he did, as a matter of fact. He just keeled over one day after we'd unloaded some heavy boxes. The doc said there was nothing could have been done. His heart gave out on him. So now I'm a businessman, Mr. Malloy. I've got a bright future ahead of me back in Minnesota, so naturally I wanted to find Freddie and bring him to live with me." "I thought he'd been adopted." "Well, they don't always go through with the legal adoption. The families, I mean. That's what I was counting on anyway, but when I went looking for Freddie, I found out the family who got him decided not to keep him after all. He'd been sent back to New York."
That seemed harsh to Frank, but he shouldn't be surprised at how cruel people could be.
"And nobody told you?"
Burt shrugged again.
"Of course not. They probably didn't even know where I was. At least the family wouldn't. And the Children's Aid Society, what did they care?" "And Freddie didn't write to you or anything?"
Now he had the grace to look embarrassed.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.